919, 920, practice with absolute value arithmetic during the NWEA. So we remember that the absolute value measures the distance from 0 for a number. So for a positive number like 21, that's going to come out positive, as well as for a negative number like negative 32, that's going to come out positive. Of course, for something like 0, which is neither positive nor negative, it stays 0. And we do resolve the order of operations within absolute value brackets before we take the absolute value. For example, if we have the absolute value of a negative 21, these two negatives directly next to each other cancel each other out, and they become positive. So this positive 21, we take the absolute value of and get 21. Of course, it wouldn't really matter because it would be the same if we were taking the absolute value of a negative 21. And if you forgot how exponents work, we take the base number, which here is a 4, and we multiply by itself the exponent number of times. So we multiply 4 by itself 2 times, 4 times 4. Or if we take negative 3 to the third power, which we often call cubed, we take negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. It's multiplied by itself 3 times. And if we resolve those, we get 16 and 27. This next section is a little bit different conceptually. We are wondering the absolute value of what possible numbers will give us 4. So if we take the absolute value of a positive 4, we get 4, or the absolute value of a negative 4 will give us 4. Not every single one is going to have two answers. For example, for the absolute value of 0, the only possible answer is 0. And the other exception is a problem like this. You will never be able to take the absolute value of something and get a negative number. So this, the absolute value is equal to negative 2, we might say is impossible, or there is no such number. But if we wanted to be very mathematical, we would call that phenomenon undefined. So on to the back. In short, we're going to be covering order of operations in the coming weeks, and the absolute value brackets work exactly the same way that parentheses do. So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, parentheses come first. Same thing is true for absolute value brackets. First thing you do is whatever is inside of them. Or in other words, the first thing I do is subtract 9 from 2. 2 minus 9 is negative 7. Then I take the absolute value of that, which is 7, and I'm going to add 4, which gives us 11. Or I could do that twice, and this becomes the absolute value of 2 plus the absolute value of 8. And we know that those are going to come out positive. Let's make those taller so we can tell their absolute value brackets. So it's really just 2 plus 8, which is 10. Don't be tricked by negatives. For example, if we take 5 minus 6, this becomes the absolute value of negative 1. And if we're adding 2 to that, that's the same thing as 1 plus 2, so we just get 3. Or here's another one. The absolute value of 5 plus 2 is combined first to become the absolute value of 7. The absolute value of 3 minus 8 is combined first to give us the absolute value of negative 5. We resolve those absolute values, or in other words, we make it positive, and then we add them together to get 12. This last one is a bit of a trick because we carry down the 10 and the minus. We combine the absolute value first to get the absolute value of 4, and we carry down the minus 6. However, we are still taking 10 minus 4 minus 6 because that minus is outside of the absolute value bracket, so it stays negative. The 4 comes out positive, what we're subtracting comes out positive, and then we go left to right. 10 minus 4 is 6, minus 6 is equal to 0.